Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. I'm not going to do like a ban list reaction video because I feel like a lot of people do those, and to be honest, I'm not about to make a reaction to a ban list that I already saw, pretending like I didn't see it yet and acting surprised in the video. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be showcasing some deck lists that honestly got an upgrade from the ban list, and it was more of like things being released than stuff being banned, because there's a lot more that was like taken off or unlimited or semi-limited, just in general, versus cards being limited or banned, which was great. One of the best things that happened on this ban list was GISHKI, GISHKI, GusKraken going to 3. That was probably the one that the least amount of people even cared about. I'm pretty sure some people in the reactions was like, oh, GusKraken's a 3, it's not gonna do anything. They're tripping, bro. The GISHKI art type, I'm just gonna go ahead and get to the list. The GISHKI art type, so this was like the first iconic ritual deck. GusKraken was like one of the first actually broken ritual monsters. It's also one of the first, him, Mine August, and there's a Chaos Blackluster, not Blackluster, but there's like a Chaos Max. There's like a Dark Magician ritual that had no effect that was on the ban list for some reason. I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure. But like GusKraken and Mine August were like some of the first ritual monsters to ever touch the ban list, and that's really insane, considering that like rituals were not really that popular up until like recently. Maybe they've always been like one of the most slept on mechanics: fusion summoning, synchro summoning, XYZ summoning, link summoning, pendulum summoning, heck, even tribute summoning via monarchs and true dracos and stuff like that. It's just like gotten a lot of love. But honestly, GusKraken going to 3, that was love right there. That was love, and I'm really happy that this card is at 3. There's like so much that this deck can do more consistently than it ever was able to do. The hand loops are like, having multiple GusKrakens makes the hand loops a lot more consistent. So the list that I'm showcasing to you guys today is a GISHKI variant that when you're going first, you're going to rip as many cards as possible, normally every card if you have a busted hand, with GusKraken. And the best thing about the hand loops with this deck versus Smoke Grenade is that you can actually rip every one of the 5 cards in your opponent's hand, and you shuffle them so they don't touch the grave, they don't touch the banish zone, so Thunder Dragons and Shadalls and things of that nature don't get their graveyard effects and don't get their banish zone effects. They just get shuffled. So this hand loop does not trigger any effects like that. That's one of the best hand loops ever, and you're looking at 2 cards as you're just shuffling one into the deck, and it's not one's return. And your win condition going second in this deck is going to be GISHKI Zilgigas. Best spot removal that I can ever imagine would be something that both doesn't target, doesn't destroy, doesn't send cards to grave, doesn't banish them either, and doesn't return them to hand. The reason why returning to hand can be bad is because the card can be played again. The reason why banishing it can be bad because the card can be recovered, it can be special summoned, or it can actually have an effect when it's banished. That stuff is relevant. And also, sending cards to the graveyard like Dengirsu might still be bad because the card can be revived from grave. It might actually have a graveyard effect. You can Monster Reborn it. It can still be fetched. But with Zilgigas, this is like the best bar removal like ever, because it doesn't target, doesn't destroy, and it puts the card back into the deck. So you have to find a way to get it again, which is going to be like a lot more difficult, in my opinion. So like, you have the best spot removal in the game, in my opinion, and you have the best hand loop in the game. The best way to rip cards out of your opponent's hand is to put them back into the deck, hands down. Not put them in the grave, not banishing them, nowhere else. Just putting them back into the deck, changing your opponent's top deck constantly. So like, literally, your going first and going second win conditions are like some of the best in the game, no cap. Zilgigas is just a broken card in general. It outs Dragoon, it outs pretty much any board. It's not hard once per turn, and you can just OTK off of it, and main phase 2 boost off if it wasn't OTK. So let's go ahead and get into the list. I pretty much covered the win cons. So I played Driver and Gamma. This is the best hand trap in this deck, because a lot of your starters, well, not a lot, but a decent amount, between like preps, Chalice Slimes, Visions, and Shadows, you have a lot of ways to prompt hand traps. Gamma because the combo piece, because I do play the Despot engine and Halki Firebracks in this deck. You can hate on me, you can drop, comments like, oh, Halki Firebracks yawn, stuff like that, but honestly, I'm not about to play an old deck with old cards. GISHKI is a really old deck. It's like extremely old, like Hidden Arsenal old, and if you guys know how old Hidden Arsenal cards are, they're really old. Okay, so this is like an old deck. I'm playing new cards in it, so that it can actually be viable. So Gamma's the best hand trap because it synergizes and it can turn into a combo piece whether you're going second or playing through a hand trap, which is really good. I'm kind of on the fence of like playing Omega, but honestly, whenever you gamma your opponent, unless you already had Despot 3 or 1 in your hand, you're normally like 10 times out of 10 gonna make Haku Fireback. So like, it hasn't really came up, but I might play Omega just because like you can make Omega rip another card and then go into your Despot 3 combo, which is pretty cool. So I'm still on the fence, but Gamma's just amazing in this deck. It's nice when your hand traps can actually have synergy, and this being a level 6 is also relevant, and this being a tuner is also relevant. And in addition to that, you can also like hard summon Arclight, which is really cool, even without Hulk. So I played 1 Talismandra, 1 Candle for the 3 Chalice Slimes, and the 1 Inception, which is like a supplemental package. The beauty of playing 1 and 1 is that because Gustkraken, which is like one of the most busted Pot of Avarice effects ever, it's kind of better. It targets 5 cards, any cards in any graveyard, and shuffles them back. So you can recycle your entire incantation engine with the Gustkraken. So even though you're playing 1 and 1, Talismandra is not going to just be dead for the rest of the duel. You can put these cards back and just keep reusing this engine, which is so good. I play Cold Wing because it's an extension to the Valkyrie 5X combo. This is pretty standard shenanigans for ritual decks that have used the Despots in the past. It's nothing new. I play the 1-of Beast. It's a really good card. It's Wolf Bark for this archetype. It also allows you to make Bahamut Shark totally awesome, which is a really strong Omni Negate. The goal of the deck, outside of just ripping 5 cards of your opponent's hand, is to stick a negate for your opponent's top deck, because there are 1-card combos in this game, being like Union Hangers a 1-card combo, Neo Space Connectors a 1-card combo. You know, like there are 1-card combos that your opponent still can theoretically top deck into, especially because all the cards are going to be back in their deck. So the probability is going to be the same as like pretty much drawing it in your opening 5 theoretically, except like opening 5 you have a higher chance because you're drawing 5 cards. But if you get what I'm saying, the top decks are realistic, so I really don't want my opponent to top deck a 1-card combo and beat me. So outside of ripping every card, you want to put like Bahamut Shark Toad or Photon Strike Bouncer, or like just a hard summon Arclight. You know, anything of that nature that can stop your opponent's top deck is gonna be really strong. It's not like high chances all the time. Not every deck has 1-card combos, but the ones that do, you want to stick a negate, which is really important. So Gishki Beast is pretty important. Next up, we have 3 Shadows. Shadow in pair with Beast is Bahamut Shark Toad, which is amazing. Because Toad obviously takes the card and sets it depending on how you interacted with it, and it recovers like a Shadow or a Vision. So this is, you could think of this as your Necros of Clausolis. Funny enough, the Gishki cards and the archetype itself is the actual ancestors of the Necros themselves. Necros tribe was started by Gishki Avance, and he is the Great Sage, the level 4 Necros monster. He's the Great Sage. I'm pretty sure Shurit is his son, and the Great Sage was also a Gishki. So the Gishki tribe in the future becomes the Necros tribe. In the past, you know, there's like some Ice Bearer shenanigans. Like there's like a tie in the lore and everything. But that's why I'm comparing this to the Clausolis. And then we have, you know, I already went through the Candle. But outside of him also searching your ritual spells, and he's not hard once per turn at all, which is busted. In fact, believe it or not, none of the Gishki cards are once per turn. Like, you can use multiple copies of pretty much all of them anytime. There's no like you can only use this effect once per turn. I don't really know of any Gishki cards that are like hard once per turn. So outside of him searching your ritual spell, he's the entire tribute fodder for any water ritual monster. That includes Necros. I used to play Gishki Necros, I wouldn't know. So yeah, Shadow's pretty nice. We played 3 03s and then the 2 01s for the Despot engine. This is either going to force an interrupt or your opponent's going to pretty much lose their hand for the most part. And I already talked about Gamma. Next up we have 3 Gishki Abyss. Outside of Despot 3, this is a really optimal normal summon because it searches out Shadow, Vision, Gustkraken, and Zilgigas, which is a vast majority of your entire Gishki lineup. And he's not once per turn, which is really good. It's really nice. Next up, we have 3 copies of Vision. So Vision is the Brionic, pseudo Brionic. It just does what Brionic does on discard. It searches out any Gishki ritual monster, and then it's the entire tribute. So these are like Shurits. Think of this like the Gishki, these cards are like Necros, Shurit, the strategist, and Brionic and Clausolis if they had a baby, pretty much. Minus being like ritual monsters, if that makes sense. So these cards are just amazing. I already talked about the Despots. And drawing R01 is kind of sometimes better than 03 because you can combo your opponent, like you can combo off on your opponent with Gustkrakens, hand loop them a couple times, and then just overlay the 2 Gustkrakens into Plutonium 7, grab a card from grave, then normal the Despot 1, and then go into your Hulk combo after you've already ripped a couple cards out their hand. And keep in mind, ritual summoning for Gustkraken always baits a hand trap. They have to either Valor, Imperm, or Gamma it. Otherwise, they literally are going to lose a card out of their hand, even if they Ghost or Quiver. So you have to actually have Valor, Imperm, or Gamma. Those are the only actual hand traps that do something to Gust Kraken to stop its effect from going off. Going to be Valor, Imperm, or Gamma. Imperm and Gamma are going to be more popular. The beauty of it, because this is not once per turn and the deck's so consistent, you guys will see, like, when I get to the deck, the dual replays and stuff, whether it's this video or a separate one, I played through Gamma by activating Gust Kraken and my opponent Gammaed it, and I just kept comboing off through that. So drawing 01 is sometimes better than hard drawing 03. And then continuing, we play 3 Zilgigas. His effect is pretty simplistic, but also extremely powerful. So you pay 1,000 life points to draw a card, reveal it. If it's a GISHKI monster, you have to shuffle one card from the field into the deck. There's no targeting, there's no destroying. It's just the perfect spot removal. So be careful with this card going first, because as you can see, there's no option in shuffling. So he will shuffle your cards, which sometimes is good. You know, if you want to put Auradon back, put Emerald back. If you just want to recycle your cards, whether it's a main deck card or an extra deck card, he will shuffle it into the deck for you. So it's not always bad. Especially when you have like incantations, like, you know, that you just want to put back into the deck, or like if you want to resolve the Auradon combo all over again, you can mine Gust Kraken, or I mean not Gust Kraken, mine August for the cards in your grave. And if Coatwing's on your field, you can use Zilgigas to shuffle him back into your deck. So now you can pretty much hard reset the entire combo. Like, there's a loop with this deck that's kind of pseudo infinite, because you can recycle your entire main deck and your entire extra deck and never really run out of like targets, which is actually super relevant. So Zilgigas is amazing. Going second, he's your win condition, because he's just going to break boards. And going first, Gust Kraken's your win condition. Then we obviously play 3 Child Slime. He extends the hand loop, and in terms of like when you already have access to Gust, he's going to be able to resolve Gust Kraken twice just off of the Candle, getting the Inception. Then you Inception, tribute Child Slime to summon Gust, hand loop for 1. And then Inception, send the Candle off and summon Talos Manager. This being a level 6 is extremely relevant. Search out another Gust Kraken and then activate Inception, tributing this to summon a second Gust Kraken. So just Child Slime with like Gust Kraken in hand is like a 2-card hand loop already. So Child Slime is really busted. And then we have Mine August. This card is really, really strong. It can stay at 1 because I wouldn't really play more than 1. That's fine. It targets 5 cards in any grave. Hello Eldritch, hello Orcus. Hello, any graveyard relevant of deck, and also obviously it recycles your cards. It just shuffles them. This card is extremely powerful because it recycles your salvages, your talents, your preps. It recycles the entire Despot combo, your entire extra deck. It's not once per turn, so you can actually loop this until you have like no cards left in graveyard. So you'll have an entire, like, you can do a full combo and you'll never run out of targets. So this deck just doesn't run out of gas, which is really strong. It's actually a very high ceiling when you think about the terms of follow-ups and the probability of resolving the combo again. That's a really strong high level of consistency when you can just keep doing it over and over and over and not worry about, oh, I have to play a second Hulk, a second Ardon. You really don't have to play multiples of anything except like these, because you go through all of these in your combo. And then Gust Kraken. It's up to 2 cards in your opponent's hand and shuffles 1 into the deck. That effect's just broken. Back in the day, I was playing GISHKI Monarch Super Quantums with Star Seraphs, and this was like a actual tenacity of the Monarch's target. I've done a lot of spice with GISHKIs in my day. Then we have 3 copies of 3 tactical talents. It makes sense since this deck, when you go first, you do want to rip cards out of your opponent's hand. And if your opponent hand traps you and you need to combo off, you can draw 2. Or if you can play through the hand trap, if you already like hard drew Despot 01 or something like that, you can just talents and look at your opponent's hand, rip another one, and just keep Gust Krakening, which it's like, it's so broken. This deck has a better hand loop than like any hand loop I can think of in like the history of the game, because it shuffles into the deck. That's like the best hand loop ever, and it's very consistent. I know that Trishula and Omega are good, but just because the simple fact that cards like Thunder Dragons actually get their effects in Banish Zone, I'm not saying every deck is a Thunder Dragon deck, but just the fact that like that hand loop being Trishula and Omega can still trigger cards that your opponent has. This is like the best hand loop because it shuffles them. It activates no effect, so your opponent can't capitalize off of your hand loop at all. And you know, talents is just busted going second too. So we have 3 preps and 3 salvage. These cards really help you to accrue a lot of advantage as you're continuing with your hand loop. Salvage is really, really strong in this deck because of Shadow and Vision not being once per turn. When you use both of them, you can salvage and go +1, and then you'll end up getting 2 Gust Krakens and 2 Aqua Mirrors, and that's really strong. If you have that and a Preparation of Rites, you'll be able to hand loop for 4, and with any just random card that gets access to like an Aqua Mirror, anything of that nature, Potami M7 can basically grab a Shadow from Grave, and then you use Aqua Mirror to put Gust Kraken back into your hand, and you just need another fodder to hand loop for 5, exactly 5. And that's really strong that you can do that without the Despot cards, because you don't, it's not like Hulk or Die, you know, you can hand loop. I'll even show a replay, like a test hand of me hand looping for like 6 or 5 without actually going to Hulky Fibrax and using any Despot cards. And then the 3 Aqua Mirrors, this card is one of the most broken ritual spells to ever exist. It's not once per turn, it shuffles itself for cost, and it adds ritual monsters from grave to hand. It's just busted. It's a really strong card. Inception's like broken too, so you play like broken ritual spells in this deck. And then I play 1 Elder. You can actually summon her by sending off your Daigusto Emerald or your Dugaris and your Herald of the Arclight to the graveyard to actually hard summon her, which I'm just saying, you can actually summon her in this deck. Then we play the Old Entity and then 3 Arclights. You can actually properly summon this if you need an Omni Negate. Reason being, because you can both recycle this and then just synchro for it again. And if you don't need the search effect, you can actually just leave it, which is fine. And like, you can leave it at the end of your combo. You just leave it, you know, you can combo off, rip some cards out of your opponent's hand, and then just hard summon Arclight. Because keep in mind, like, Aradon only stops you from Link summoning. You could still like Ritual, XYZ, all that. So if you're in a situation where you have used 2 Arclights and you can synchro summon for a 3rd one, but you don't need it, you can actually just do your Gust Kraken combo, and then at the end of your combo, you use the token in the Despot 01 and synchro into an Arclight and leave that on field for your opponent's top deck of 1 card so they can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! We have Gustav, because attack for 32 and 32 64, overlay into Gustav, burn for 2k, that's game. That's a standard kind of Zilgigas OTK that a lot of GISHKI players know about. M7 is just so relevant, it's so standard. You really need this card. It extends your hand loop, and it also allows you to just like recur, like anything that you need. If you don't need your hand loop, then you just grab Despot 3 from graveyard to hand, because you've already recycled the 01s from like Mine August, and you've recycled like Hulk, and you know, like, it's just really loopy. But normally you just use it for your hand loop. You just detach Gust Kraken, grab Shadow from grave to hand, use Aqua Mirror to grab Gust Kraken back. So you really go +2 off of this, and all you need is just a tribute fodder to summon the Gust Kraken again, so it extends your hand loop. And then Photon Strike Bouncer is a relevant negation that you can end on, because normally any 1-card combo your opponent top decks involves a monster effect that happens on field, which would be normal summons Neo Space Connector, you know, Sublimation Knight. Jet Synchron doesn't work anymore, even though it's banned. It wouldn't work because you need 2 cards, so I guess like any 1-card tuner access. Nadir Servant is probably the most relevant top deck, but to be honest, a Nadir Servant is not actually gonna be like good in the terms of like your opponent's gonna have to break your board using Maximus, because they can't just get Ecclesia and then get you know, the Fleur de Lis and think that they're gonna break through like Aradon, Daigusto Emerald, Photon Strike Bouncer plus Gust Kraken. You know, that's like a lot of just bodies field present that's relevant. So even if they just dump Elder Entity Natis and pop the Strike Bouncer, they're gonna have to rely on Maximus to actually pop the rest of your board. They're not gonna be able to break your board, is the end story, because all they're gonna do is pop 1 card and stick 2 bodies and no follow-up. So like, Nadir Servant is a relevant top deck, but it's not gonna break the board though, and your follow-ups are amazing. Bahamut Shark for the Toad, just so you can end on an Omni Negate, whether it's Shark, Toad, or Arclight, or like Strike Bouncer. You just want to end on something. Then Emerald and Dugaris, and also the Nyarla. These are all really good for the Hulky Fibrax combo. They allow you to extend a lot, trigger your Arclight, and this actually loops Arclight, which is really strong. This is a good body to leave on your field. If you couldn't get 2 waters, you can just leave this. Sometimes this is better than Emerald, because you could just detach Arclight and reattach Arclight, and then tribute it off for the Aradon that you leave on field, and you get double search off Arclight, and you just keep going. Bless you. And then Aradon and Hulk. So the side deck is going to be 3 Nibs. I play Santa Claus over Kaijus because he's not like a Kaiju where if you control one, you can't Kaiju again. You can Santa Claus multiple monsters, and he's a level 6, meaning that he has synergy with Gust Kraken, which is really relevant. So I just chose him. I know during the end phase of this turn, your opponent can draw a card, but you're normally just going to kill them with Zilgigas anyway. So it's really just here to take care of problematic monsters. This card is very slept on. A lot of people either don't know about it or they forgot about it, but This was like a kaiju, I'm pretty sure, before kaijus even came out. So Santa Claus is strong. 3 lightnings, 3 evenlings, pretty generic. And a pointer. Yes, I will have talents and a pointer when I'm going first. Side deck for going first, all you're gonna do is just put in a pointer. So what you'll do is you'll literally just take 1 salvage, 1 mine August, and then you'll take like the beast, or you can take like 1 of your Zilgigas, because you don't need 3 Zilgigas when you're going first. So that's pretty easy, siding out just 1 Zil, you know, 1 salvage, and then like 1 mine August, and that throw in 3 pointers, and boom. Even if you can't hand loop for 5, you'll have a pointer and talents, which can really help you to be insurance. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to some test hands, and obviously duels are gonna be a separate video so that I can have the duels dedicated for a separate video. But just to show you guys, I did cop some duels yesterday versus like dinosaurs, a lot of against dinosaurs, well, not a lot, just multiples, against Mathmex, against Monarchs, against Pendulums, and against Trap Tricks. I beat every single deck except for Monarchs. I actually lost to them in game 3, which really sucks, but gotta respect Monarchs. Pantheism is at 3, that does make a difference. So what I'm gonna show you guys is GISHKI, no Valkyrie Firebacks, hand loop, just to show you guys that this deck can pull it off without Hulk, like I was saying in the profile. So as you guys can see, this is a really good opening. It's nothing but pretty much GISHKI stuff. It's just standard ritual stuff. Prep equals Chalice Slime. Whether it's Chalice Slime or Prep, you have 6 copies of it. Salvage is just going to make this a lot easier, and we hard drew Aqua Mirror. So this hand's just amazing going first. Going second, it's also a really strong hand too, because you can get access to multiple Zilgigases, and you know, you're still drawing your 6th card, which, oh wow, is another shadow. That's broken. So yeah, it's a good hand going first or second. No! So what we're going to do here is activate Prep, and then we're going to pitch Shadow, get another Aqua Mirror, discard Vision to get our first Gust Kraken, salvage for both of them. And then we're going to go Vision again for Gust Kraken, Chalice Slime, discard Aqua Mirror, go for Candle. Candle's going to grab Inception. And you guys are going to see how this play out. Gust Kraken number 1, so that's hand loop for 1 so far. And we're going to do that combo, get Manager, search another Gust Kraken. And then hand loop for 2. So that's going to be 2 cards without our opponent's hand. So they have 3 cards now. So you have to have a hand trap for this deck. You have to have a specific hand trap too. Because that hand was playing through Ash Blossom like nothing. So you need like Gamma. And also, dang, let me go ahead and just restart. Also, Nibiru really does kind of suck against this deck. Because by the time your opponent can Nibiru you, you normally will have ripped 3 to 4 cards. So Nibiru is probably not even going to be there. And at that point, they're playing with like 1 card. And you can just keep hand looping anyways with the good hand. So I'm just restarting that hand because I got distracted. So salvage for Shadow and Vision, and then discard them again because they're not once per turn. Because this GISHKI's, like, this ain't once per turn, this isn't, this isn't. GISHKI's are pretty broken, honestly. They're a really strong ritual deck. So Inception, Gust Kraken number 1. Tal, get another Gust. So that's all 3 Gust Krakens. This is like super strong. The ban list did justice. Gust Kraken number 2. Gust Kraken number 3. I'm gonna put Gust Kraken back in my hand. Shadow again. Grab Aqua Mirror. So Gust Kraken number 4. So my opponent has 1 card in hand. And gonna go to M7, detach, grab Shadow back, and get the. See, M7 extends the hand loop. And then this is going to be Gust Kraken number 5. Unfortunately, I don't end on a negation. But my opponent's playing with 1 card in hand, which for me is busted. So as you guys see, that's a 5-card hand loop for my opponent's entire hand. They're top decking now. And that was without Valkyrie Firebacks. Now I'm going to show you guys with Valkyrie Firebacks. This is hard drawing 01. It's pretty nice when you hard draw 01. It's actually better than 03 when you can just stick a monster on the field first, because you still need to go into Hulk. So as you guys see, I discarded Zilgigas. I'm just going to do a baby hand loop. So Gust Kraken for 1. I'm going to grab Inception, search another Gust Kraken, and then I'm going to go Gust Kraken for 2. Then I'm going to overlay into M7, detach, and I'm going to grab Gust Kraken, and then I'm going to prep for Chalice Slime and Inception, so I can use Inception to summon Gust Kraken number 3. So I hand loop for 2 first before going into Howl. That's really safe for hand traps. So as you guys see, this deck's pretty strong against hand traps when you open an optimal hand. So to stop Gust Kraken, you literally have to have Imperm or Gamma. But as you guys see, that hand was going to play through it. So that was like a really good hand. And now I'm just going bananas. I'm going to go like super plus on this combo right here. Resolving like 3 Arclights, Emerald. It's just so good. Coatwing is going to get the tokens. And I'm going to get both the Death Bottle ones back from the grave. which is gonna synchro again. So I'm gonna sync into Arclight, sync into the old entity, go into Emerald. I'm gonna draw, and then I'm gonna use Emerald, detach Arc. I'm gonna recycle Arc, Hulk, and a 01, so that, like, you know, 03 can be another follow-up. And then I'm gonna use like Shadow. It's over. I've already hand looped for 3, so that's hand loop for 3. I will say on this one, I kind of did style a little bit too much. I flexed a little bit too much because my hand was so busted. I was supposed to end on Strike Bouncer. Instead, I think I ended up hand looping for 6 or 7, and obviously that's literally irrelevant because there's no more cards for your opponent. This is mandatory. It keeps activating. But I was just really overdoing it. If you guys are not just doing a test hand just to showcase the power of the deck for your viewers, end on the Photon Strike Bouncer like I should, but I was just showing off too much. But to be honest, in a real life duel, you end on the Strike Bouncer. So this hand was just busted. So I'm gonna grab those back. I'm gonna hand loop. That's hand loop for 4. So the next Gust Kraken, this should be the last Gust Kraken. And now I'm going to go into Mine August, and I'm going to start, like, putting back a lot of stuff. I'm putting back the incantations. I'm going to grab my Gust Kraken from Grave, and then I'm going to Vision for another Gust Kraken. So this should be the last Gust Kraken. That's Gust Kraken. That's 5 cards out of my opponent's hand. But I just keep going, and that was, like, super, like, dumb on me. I was just showing off too much for this display. So that's hand loop for 5. That's hand loop for 6. Now this is hand loop for, it's gonna be hand loop for 7. See, and these two are supposed to be overlaid to the Strike Bouncer, but I was just, like I said, showing off too much, which, again, don't do that in a real life duel. I just wanted to showcase the power of my deck. So as you guys see, that was like hand loop for 6. This is supposed to be Strike Bouncer, which is a lot stronger, a lot more relevant, and you are still gonna end on follow-ups no matter what. So your opponent has no cards, and this is supposed to be Strike Bouncer. All M7 did was give me a Gust Kraken and an Aqua Mirror. It's supposed to be Strike Bouncer. Like I said, it was just a video just showcasing you guys the power of this deck. So yeah, as you guys see, GISHKIs are like really broken when you do get to go first. When you lose the dice roll, fortunately for you, your archetype specific cards do have outs to cards like Dragoon, Boardload Savage, and Appaloosa. Unless Appaloosa has 3200 attack, you can literally just attack over it and then activate Zogigs in main phase 2 and pretty much break your opponent's board. The beauty of breaking your opponent's board in main phase 2 is that you can Gust Kraken the rest of their cards. So Gust Kraken is still strong going second if your opponent does not commit every card in their hand. If they do, then you just break their board in main phase 2 and leave them on a top deck, which is still pretty strong because you can still end on cards like Bahamut Shark, totally awesome. And at that point, when you don't need to hand loop the junk out of them, you will just basically overlay the 2 Zogigs for Gustav, burn, and then you'll normal summon a card like 01, and you'll do the Hulk combo, but this time you're doing it to end on like triple Arclight or something like that. Or you can just end on like double Arclight, you know, for your opponent's top deck so that they can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! So not only can you break boards with this deck, hand loop, also when you break your opponent's board going second, you can hand loop for the rest of their cards and end on Arclight so that they're top decking into nothing because their cards are going to get negated. So is this deck like the most broken deck ever? No, but I think this deck's ceiling is awkwardly, and I will say the word awkwardly high, emphasizing the awkwardly high, because people just don't expect this kind of playstyle. And because like a lot of the cards are not once per turn, its ability to play through negates is also heightened. Just because like extra copies don't hurt now, you know, like even though like if it's you can only activate one, you can still activate it anyways, but you can only use the effect once per turn, means if it gets negated, you can't activate another copy. And obviously, you know, talents helps going second too. So I do think that this deck is good. I do think this is a really good deck. I like my list. I got some W's, you know, when I'll showcase the duels on a separate video, but tell me what you guys think. I definitely feel like the ban list did justice for GISHKIs. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and this will be the end of the video. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Lord Jesus Christ. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. All right, you guys. Peace out.